All right, guys, let's go ahead and introduce our special guest right here. And so, guys, listen up, take notes, right? And so if you are a new agent, right? If you are a new agent and you just got into the business or you're looking to go full-time into the business, listen up, take notes, right? And take notes, if you're, 2 or 3, 4 or 5 years into the business or whatever, because you know what? You're going to run into agents that have this exact same problem. And right, you want to be able to solve their problem. So, all right. So this gentleman, my good friend, he was a former band director for 11 years. That's right, guys, 11 years in corporate America. His first year, he pulled the trigger and gave up corporate America, gave up that great salary, gave up that great benefits. 16 transactions his first year, totaling $2.9 million in production. So he was a capper his first year. 16 transactions in his first year, 2.9 million. Second year, 22 transactions, 5 million in the second year. Third year, 17 transactions. Transactions went down a little bit, but volume went up. $5.7 million in production his third year. He has actually attracted 7 agents to EXP. He has grown a private Facebook group of over 289 agents called The Productive Agent. And he hosts weekly trainings and podcasts to the group. And I was actually his special guest yesterday on the group. And now he's our special guest this morning on our Freedom Friday Mastermind. So let's give it up for our good friend, Tony Ruiz. Good morning, Tony. How you doing?
Doing great, Pat. Thank you so much. You're pumping me up over here listening to all that.
I love it. Well, man, we'll hearing your success story and what you've done in a short amount of time. And just coming out of the gates and leaving corporate America. And I know that was a big decision and probably, hard on you and hard on the family. And, you go to college to get this degree, just like what I did, and then you go to corporate America and use that degree for 11 years. I used my degree for 6 years in medical sales. And after that, I was like, screw it, man. I want to go all in and go work for myself. I don't want to go, screw corporate America. Instead of working for the man, I want to be the man, right? And so I told my parents, hey, my parents, my mom was a school teacher for 22 years. My dad was a CFO for, 35 years. My sister's still in corporate America. I was the only wild child that said, F this degree. I'm going all in and I'm going to go work for myself. Right. And I know you did that. And, I know it's very nerve wracking and very hard. And I want you to share your story because, we've got 53 agents on and it'll keep on growing. This is being recorded, but I want to share your story because I know it's going to impact a lot of people. Because I know I talk to a lot of agents all the time. They're looking to do exactly what you did, but they're scared to jump off the cliff and go all in, right? And so let's kind of go all the way back and let's kind of tell everybody and introduce who you are, who is Tony. Share your story with everybody, and then I've got a few questions that we'll answer along the way after you kind of share your journey. And then we'll open it up for some Q&A and let's have some fun today. But let's go all the way back, all the way back to, before college, and let's tell us really who Tony is. And then, gradually get up to exactly where you're at now. But go ahead, tell us who Tony is.
Yeah. Can I share my screen? Because in fashion, I have a slideshow, of course.
Yes. Yep. You sure can. Yep. You should be able to now.
Let's try this.
Let's see.
Post disabled.
Let's see. Hang on. Oh, hang on. There you go. There we are. Right there.
There we go.
There you go. Go for it.
All right. So thank you so much, Pat, for that introduction. My name is Tony Ruiz, and I'm going to share my story. I do want to start off with a little disclaimer. Number one, it's an incredible honor to be here as a special guest. But it's not cool that I have to follow up the Jay Kinder from last week. I'm like, oh my God, like here's the master mega agent dude. But I am extremely thankful to be given the opportunity to share my story. I will be honest. I don't consider myself a mega producer. I mean, you heard some of the numbers that Pat was talking about. And I'm happy with that. And I'm at peace with that. But I'm not one of those guys that came out of the gate selling 50, 60, 70 houses in a year. But I am a person that literally knew nothing about real estate. I didn't know anything. And I put my head down. I followed my mentors, who I'm going to mention in a second. And I just went to work. And in my first year, I was able to cap. And my income has grown every single year. Now I'm in my fourth year. growing a team, growing this group that we'll talk about here in a little bit. So if that's you, if you find yourself like, hey, I'm not capping yet, I think this message is you're going to find this message powerful. But I'll say that it's nothing special, but it's just putting your head down and going to work. But honestly, these are the things I didn't know. I literally didn't know what the hell a CRM was. I didn't even know what it stood for. Now I do. I didn't know when people were talking about, oh, I need more leads. I was like, what the hell's a lead? I don't know. What is follow-up? What is prospecting? What is a database? I literally didn't even know that buyers didn't have to pay their agent. All right. So I didn't know anything. My background is born and raised here in San Antonio. And I was a total band nerd. I went to MacArthur High School. And in my senior year, I wanted to be a band director. I looked up to my band directors and I was like, this looks like a cool job. I don't want to be in corporate America sitting behind a desk. My dad was an engineer. I knew I didn't want to do that. So I became a band director, Texas State. I was the drum major at Texas State Marching Band, total nerd. And then I started teaching at Churchill High School right out of the gate. I spent all 11 years there, 5 as an assistant, 6 as the director of bands, and I was obsessed with it. I think all of us are. That's our passion. That's what we love. It was incredible, all the ups and downs. But then I hit a turning point, right? And maybe you're hitting a turning point. Maybe you're part-time right now. Maybe you're getting your real estate license and don't know where to start. But for me, my turning point was around 35 years old. And I just kind of looked up. I had been doing it 11 years. And I was like, there's got to be more than this, right? Like, and bottom line is, how do I get ahead? Because I was at the top of my game there. And the only way that I could earn more money was to move to DFW. And they pay me a little bit more, not much more. Of course, cost of living is higher. Or go into administration. And there was no way in hell I was going to do that. I was not interested in dealing with what I consider the general population and all the trouble kids, right? At least I had band kids that wanted to be there and enjoyed it for the most part. But, things really started kind of wearing on me. Some of the kids, that 99.9% of the kids were phenomenal. But you had those turds every now and then that just kind of cause some headache. Some parents, had some issues. Overall, again, 99.9%, I was in a great situation. My kids and my parents were amazing. I did have an administration change. I don't know if anybody's come from a teaching background, but when you get a new principal or new assistant principals, that can completely change the outlook of the entire community. And it had a major impact for me. And bottom line, it came down to, I wasn't getting paid enough for what I was doing. And it was taking up way too much time. So that was my pain point, right? And I just wanted more. I was seeing these kids that I taught graduate college, making 6-figure jobs and driving nice cars, living. It's like, well, I want that shit. And I work hard, man. Like I work really hard and I want to be compensated for that. Right. So that was my turning point. And right around that time, we were living in an apartment. We were thinking about getting a house. I had seen several friends leave band directing in our district and go into real estate. Mark Chambers was the first one, followed by Alan Grulick, who I think is on this call. Mark Kale was another one, and my good friend Jim Ragsdale. I was close to Jim for a long time. The other guys, I knew, respected, and I looked at them, and they all seemed to be enjoying what they were doing. They seemed to be successful, making it. They were definitely not quitting and coming back to teaching. So I was like, okay, well, if I just kind of follow in their footsteps, then I can probably figure this out and get this going. So I made a leap of faith. I got to 2019. This was kind of my breaking point. I was 35 years old, like I said. And it was around March or April, because that's contest season. And I remember, talking to my wife a lot about this, and she was incredibly supportive. She was like, you can do it. I believe in you. She believed in me way more than I believed in myself at the time. And so that was super helpful, but I was still scared, right? It's like, this is a huge source of income. This is our main income, benefits, all that. And what I was able to do was look at my TRS, which had been built up for 11 years. It wasn't a huge amount, but I looked at it and I said, okay, if I pull all of that out, we can live for 10 months the way that we're living. All right. And then if I don't figure it out within 10 months, then I don't have anything in savings or retirement. And surely I'm going to figure this out in 10 months. All right. So that made me feel a little bit more comfortable. I think they recommend at least 3 to 6 months of savings before you make the jump. So that's something that you might want to consider. But my first steps were, I told my community that I wasn't coming back. I put in my resignation, and then I just parked it at Starbucks every single day. Right. I had all these personal days that I had racked up, and they weren't going to pay me for them. I was just going to lose them. And I was like, well, screw you guys. I'm going to take every single personal day and go finish my courses. So I did the CE shop. I got my courses done online. It was, to me, I tell new agents that that's one of the biggest hurdles to get over is the 180 hours of getting through those courses. But I parked it, knocked them out as quickly as possible. And I started, even before I got my license, I was attending live trainings because I was talking to Alan about it. And he was like, hey, you should check out this training. Hey, you should check this one out. So I was going to Rick Tankersley, was our broker at the time. He was doing some great trainings, 2 times a week. I was going to both. I was hearing similar stuff or the same stuff over and over and over. And I was like, okay, taking notes. And then I remember Alan giving me a passport to the world to check out more trainings. And of course, it was so early that I had to like, hey, can you give me a new passport? Because mine expired and I want to keep learning. All right. I remember attending Pat's Lunch and Learn. First time I met Pat, and his energy is super contagious. I remember sitting there, watching the slideshow, and I just hear, woo, woo, in the back. Yeah, the woo man back there is like, man, he's really happy and excited about something here, and then I caught on, but I was oblivious to the stock. I've never owned stock before EXP. I was pretty much paycheck to paycheck, living a good life. I mean, we weren't necessarily struggling, but it's just like, there's got to be more to this. I remember looking and going, I have very little to nothing in savings. I have my retirement, and that's about it. There's got to be more to this. But that was life changing. And I remember Pat talking about this as life changing. This is life changing. I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. Right. And I was just attracted to 80-20 split. I was like, okay, right out of the gate, I'm brand new. I don't know anything. You're going to give me some of the highest commission that's out there. So sign me up. All right. But my first year was interesting. I was doing a lot of Rick Tankersley trainings. I was doing what he was telling me to do. I was calling expireds and for sale by owners. I was spending like an hour each, kind of starting off my day. And I was motivated because I was like, I don't know when my next check is going to come. Like my last check from teaching is going to be in August or so. And then after that, I got my license in July. So I was like, I got to start doing something. And I was posting to Facebook Marketplace. I was doing posts to social media. I was doing a Monday motivation post. I was doing a property of the day on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Wednesday wisdom, fun fact Friday, promoting the open houses. And I remember I got my license on July 4th of 2019. And that very first Saturday after that, I was doing my first open house. And I was committed to the open house thing because I think people don't understand the hours that we put in as a band director. And honestly, why I don't kill myself in my real estate game. But we were, putting in our 40 hours plus 8 hours of rehearsals after school. And then Friday, we would get there early for a pep rally, stay late, go to the game, get home at 11, 12 o'clock. And then we would get back on the bus competition season at 4 a.m. and drive to Houston and have competition all day, get home at 4 a.m. Sunday. And all I did was sleep all day Sunday, and it was just wearing you out. It was just so much time. So I'm going, you're telling me that I can just spend 3 hours on a Saturday, be able to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner with my family and gain business this way? Sign me up. Let's go do the open house thing. All right. So I was all about it. I met 171 new contacts that are still in my database to this day. in my first year from doing so many open houses. And I'll tell you what, I failed a lot at the open house thing. My second open house was on my birthday. That's how committed I was. It was up my birthday. I was like, no, I'm going to do an open house. And 2 people showed up, one of them being my mom. So it was that was the biggest failure of an open house that I've experienced. And then I just learned, right? You fail forward and you go, okay, well, that was a bad location. Let me find a better location, easy access. So I've learned a lot, and I pass that on in some of my trainings that I do. I just recently did an open house training that I'll share with you in a sec. So that was my first year, but the results took a while. And my first 6 months, I had 1 rental and 2 buyers. I love the story, and I'll never forget about the 2 buyers. The first buyer was a random Facebook marketplace lead. I was posting and posting and posting. I probably posted over 100 Facebook marketplace ads. Got some traffic, but most of it was BS, right? And this one guy said, hey, I'd like to see this house today. I said, okay, cool. I'll show it to you at 5 o'clock. I went there, met him, and we were under contract like within the first 2 weeks. And I still have a great relationship with him to this day. Older gentleman. He was actually a real estate agent back in the day, also a firefighter, and retired now, cancer survivor, great dude. Love him to pieces because he holds a special place in my heart because that was my first real deal. All right. And then the second one was just a friend that I met at a Chamber of Commerce event. He was visiting from Chicago, and we exchanged contact information. And 2 weeks later, he says, I love San Antonio so much, I want to come live in San Antonio and buy a house. I said, badass, let's do it. But other than that, 6 months of not a whole lot of action, but not a whole lot of deals. I remember sitting down with Mark for coffee, and I was like, dude, I need to get paid. I don't want to drain all my savings. And I showed him what I was doing. And he was like, if you're doing all that, you just got to keep doing that because I guarantee it's going to pay off. He goes, you're doing more than 90% of the agents in San Antonio. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not getting paid like that, and I just trusted him because like he's proven, knows what he's doing. He wouldn't lead me astray. So 2020, I started with 6 open houses in the first 6 weeks. I was just like, okay, I'm going to knock this out. And that's really the thing that sprung me forward in my business. I got my first listing from an open house downtown, Dignity Hill. And that was a life-changing moment because I represented both sides. I kind of got screwed out of the deal a little bit, but some guy drove by, saw the sign, called me. I got in contact with him. I represented the buyer and the seller. Well, of course, the seller's an investor and trying to get as much money as possible. He talked me into lowering my commission to 1% on that side. That was a big regret, but I was brand new and I was like just begging for the listing, and I did it. It was definitely a learning moment. I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that shit again, but hey, 4% on, at the time, I think it was 360. That was the largest check I had seen in my life. Like I was talking about this the other day with my friends. I'm too honest sometimes, but I was making just a little, probably about $3,500 take home a month. All right. And all of a sudden I saw this like $11,000 check, and I was like, holy shit. All right. And I put it in my bank account, and I told my wife, I said, I don't ever want to have less than $10,000 in my bank account again. Yeah. And that's the goal. And honestly, I don't think we have, we just keep going and building. But that was life-changing, and all of a sudden it started clicking, like, this is life-changing. That's life-changing. But here's the thing. You have to put in the work, right? And I was interviewing Pat the other day, and, everybody looks at Pat's numbers and they're just like, holy shit, like that's amazing. It's like, yeah, but dude, Pat works hard, man. Pat works hard. So you got to put in the work. If you're willing to put in the work, you're going to get paid. All right. My major turning point was in 2020. Alan Grulick invited me to a training that was done by Shane Tokheim. And he changed my life by just meeting with me individually and introduced me to Ninja Selling, which is a book, and Miracle Morning. And what these two books did for me was it gave me structure and focus. It helped me develop good habits and discipline. And it showed me the greatness tracker and the hot warm list. So this is kind of like, that's my story so far. But I do want to share with you what this all means. Number one, if you've never heard of those two books, please write that down and please go read them. Ninja Selling, in my opinion, is the Bible of real estate. All right. I've read it 2 times through. I have a, I forgot the name of it, but I have like a cheat sheet. So the second time through, I highlighted all my notes and then I would write it up into a Cliff Notes version, all right, that I could share with you. Feel free to reach out to me. I could share that with you. But it's just like a reminder that I can quickly look at, like that's about 10 pages and go, that's what I should be doing. Miracle Morning is an amazing book that talks about savers. Real quick, that's silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. Go read more about that. It gives you a structure of your morning to set you up for success. I still practice majority of those every single day. And it's completely changed my life. But let's talk about like the things that have made a big impact. So here is the greatness tracker. Now, the greatness tracker comes from the Core, which is a coaching program. Now, I think this was an adjusted one that Rick Tankersley had made. But bottom line is that you keep track of how many face-to-face meetings you have, how many break breads you have, great phone calls or text messages with leads, referral partners, past clients, current clients. All right. Events. You should be doing appointments, 2 appointments a week, 1 contract a week, 2 thank you cards a day, for sale by owner visits, expired visits, builds, and businesses. So what I ended up doing with this, I was like, man, that's a lot. That's a lot. You know, and sometimes you get overwhelmed that there's so many things you can do in real estate and be successful with, but it's, you got to get focused. So Shane helped me focus mine. You know, I was already doing a bunch of social media stuff. So I adjusted it to, I'm going to do 5 social media contacts a day. I'm going to at least follow up with 10 a day here. And then on my database, I'm going to make sure that I'm touching base with them and at least doing 5 a day. I'm also going to do real estate reviews, which is just a fancy way of CMAs for my database. So I know Pat Hayes lives at 123 Main Street. Without even telling him, I'm just going to do a quick little CMA. Won't take me too long. Send it to him in an email and say, hey, Pat, I just sent you some information on your house. Take a look at it, etc. Thank you cards. This is super easy. And if you're not doing this, this is like guaranteed to get you attention. Do a birthday campaign. All right. And I learned this from Shane. And bottom line is the people that you know in your phone or whatever, that would be to just write down their birthday on a Google Calendar. Let me share that real quick. So my Google Calendar here looks like this. All right. So the red is real estate stuff. All right. I have a call. I have to pick up my daughter, all these things. But in here on the green is David Miracle's birthday is coming up. Melissa Cunningham's birthday is coming up. Isaac, Lucy. So what I do is I look ahead and about 2 days before their birthday, I'll go ahead and take a personal card, personally write, happy birthday, David. Hope this year is the best year yet. And I'll throw a $5 gift card in that from Starbucks and put it in the snail mail. And they receive that. And it's super impactful. And like every time that I do it, they immediately text me, call me, hey, I got your card. Thank you so much. That was very thoughtful. So that alone will generate, business, generate interest, etc. And of course, I'm doing more agent attraction this year and focusing on that more. So I added to that. So I'm trying to talk to at least 2 agents, 10 a week, touching base and following up with that. So that's the greatness tracker. All right. I can definitely share that. I saw that comment in the chat. So I'd be happy to share that. This is a game changer for me, is the hot warm list. And this comes from Ninja Selling. But you can see that they talk about the hot warm. And then of course I have my team, right? So these are like my mentors that I follow up with and say, hey, can you share this? Can you share that? Can you share this? Here's some of the people that I've brought in. And then here's some of the people that I want to do business with, right? And bring them to EXP. So those are my main focus pretty much on a weekly basis. The hot list and the warm list, I've kind of combined it, honestly. But pretty much if anybody says, hey, I'm interested in real estate, all right, I can go down the list here. I met this guy at a Starbucks. He literally saw me working. And that's another thing. Stop working from home, pick up your laptop and go work at Starbucks. I've bumped into Brandon Taylor, who is an agent here at EXP that I brought on recently by bumping into him at Starbucks because he saw my book that I was reading and we started a conversation. I bumped into this guy, Christopher Soto, at Starbucks because he saw that I was looking on the MLS and he asked me what I was looking at. And I said, well, I'm a realtor. And we exchanged contact information. This is a friend. This is KV Core lead. But bottom line is anybody that mentions that they might be interested in doing something soon, I put them on this list. I put them, are they searching? Are they just interested? Where did they come from? All right, here's some open house leads that I met a few weeks ago. And then I update this as I talk to them, the last time that I reached out to them. All right. And then of course I have a lenders. I use a couple different lenders. And then I have notes over here. The reason that I love this is because we look at our database that might be 200, 300, 400 people. And we're like, who the hell am I going to talk to today? All right. But these are people that are closest to doing a deal. All right. And I think right now this number is, what is it? Let's see. So it's 31 people that pretty much have been added to this list since January 1. All right. Let's just say half of them closed. That's 15 deals. And I'm going to keep putting more people on that list. All right. So when you have a list like this is your focus. This is your day. Every day that I open up my computer, I open up my Google Calendar, I open up my hot warm list and probably pull up the MLS, probably pull up KV Core, all right, in different tabs. And then I look at this list and go, Roger Duran. Yeah, I talked to him last week. I don't need to follow up. Okay, Savannah. Yeah, she just moved here, but she's renting. I'll check in with her, whatever it is. So it's just a reminder when you see that name, you go, what do I need to do for that person? Right. Does all that make sense? I'm talking pretty quickly. Feel free to open up your mic, ask any questions.
Tony, man, this is fire, bro. I love this, man. This is awesome, guys. What do you think? We've got 50 agents on still. Dude, this is awesome, man. This brings me back to whenever I got started too, man. Everybody's got a story, and I love your freaking story, man. I love how you made it, and I love your passion. I love your energy, and you're so authentic, and you're such a great teacher, man. You're a great, great freaking teacher, man. I love it. You got patience. Right? It's hard. It's hard to have patience in real estate, right? Because it's ups and downs, and these buyers and sellers make us crazy, right? And you're so just genuine, and you can tell you care about people and you care about your clients and your business, man. I love it, man. I love it. Keep on going.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. We'll keep going. Feel free to put stuff in the chat, and we'll get around to it. This second part will go pretty quickly, but I do want to talk about. So that's my business, and I'll be honest with you. I listened to Andy Frisella, Real AF podcast. And I think it's super important. Pat mentioned it before, is the mindset, right? And I don't know about you, but if I don't put positive things in my mind tends to go negative. Yep. All right. And it's just like we start thinking about all the crisis around the world and all stuff. So I will I've made it a habit for over a year now that the first thing I do when I wake up is I go do a workout. All right. And that gets me in the right state of mind. And then I come home and I do some meditation and prayer, and then I go take a shower. And when I get out of the shower, usually I'm listening to different types of music, right, in the shower. And then I turn on a podcast, or I also like listening to YouTube and finding motivational YouTube clips. You just type in motivation on YouTube, you're going to have all kinds of stuff, all kinds of powerful, uplifting things, just feeding your brain as you're brushing your teeth, combing your hair, getting dressed. And it's like, hell yeah, let's go conquer the day. I'm obsessed right now with Andy Frisella, Real AF podcast. I'm a podcast fan. And of course, so just think of that. But organically, I had 7 friends join me at EXP. I never went after anybody. Funny story, I had a past student that lives in DFW randomly reached out to me years after he graduated. He said, "Hey man, I just got my license. I'm joining EXP. Is it cool if I put you down as my sponsor?" I was like, hell yeah, baby. Let's do it.
Love it.
So those are the easy ones, right? So I would love to have more of those.
Yes.
But so, and then July of 2021, I saw a post on Facebook by Rick Tankersley, and he was saying that there's no point in attracting agents if you're not going to help them grow their business, and I took that personally, because I am a teacher at heart. That's my passion. That's my helping and doing all of that. So I was like, okay, I have these new agents that literally don't know a whole lot. I know a lot more than them. So I'm going to start a Zoom training, because I had 3 agents in Dallas, 1 in Houston at the time, and like 4 here in San Antonio. So it's like, I'll do a Zoom training, right? We're in COVID thing, whatever. So it was, my first couple of videos were not good. It was just like me and 1 or 2 other people on the call. And I started this Facebook group, and then all of a sudden, my mentors, Mark Chambers, Alan Grulich, they're like, could I send my agents to that? I was like, I'm already doing it. Yeah, like the more the merrier, right? I mean, let's not waste time. I mean, I'm already doing it, so let's grow it. And all of a sudden, we kind of rolled into 2022. We adjusted the name. Originally, I didn't know what the hell to call it. I was like, the productive agents, because we're all going to be productive, right? And Mark made fun of me for it, and he was like, "Oh, well, that's real creative." And then Alan was like, "I like it. I kind of like it," And I was like, "Yeah." And then I even saw like something Glenn Sanford said but it mentioned like productivity or productive agent or whatever. And I was like, "Hey, it sticks, man." And then so in 2022, we rolled out and kind of grew the group on Facebook. It's a private group. It's open to any agent of any brokerage. It's not EXP specific, and it's a beautiful community that's almost 300. After this call, when all of y'all join, we're going to be over 300 agents.
Everybody go join. Everybody go join.
So we'll talk about it in a second. Then September 22, I always wanted to do a podcast, because I had listened to podcasts for several years. Sports podcast. I love like getting my information from that. And then I heard I was thinking about doing a band podcast with my coworkers. So I always been having this itch, and I was like, you know what? We're doing these weekly trainings, we're doing these things, but I want to try to broaden our stretch. All right. Instead of just being local here. So started the podcast, and that was a September. We just did episode 19, which was an amazing interview with Pat. And then we did a training. So let's talk about that real quick. The productive agent group, I'll show you what that looks like. But bottom line is, we do weekly Zoom trainings every Thursday, and we totally mix it up. I mean, we talk about database. We talk about, open houses. I think last week we had JJ Grana talk about DISC and the personalities training and all that. So it's not just me. I'm honestly trying to get more voices in to the group to explain what they do to be successful. But every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, we do a Zoom training. All right, similar to this, but we focus on building your business. Every month we do an espresso event. All right, and it's just a coffee and conversation event. The second Tuesday of the month, we go to expectation. I post that on there. Again, it's open to anybody. But I want you to think about this. Tap into these events, because they're a great opportunity to invite an agent that you're talking to. Right. I'm assuming most of the agents on here are probably EXP. All right. And it's like, hey, you're already talking to this guy, trying to form a relationship with him or her, get them to an event and show them the collaboration that we're doing. So these are great opportunities for that. We do a happy hour every 4th Friday of the month at Cover 3. And then we promote live trainings and events. It's not just us, Melanie McMullen does some things, and I promote that stuff. So it's mostly focused on motivation, inspiration, encouragement, and education, right? It's not another group that's like, hey, I got an open house coming up. hey, I got another listing. Hey, there's plenty of other groups that do those things. This is just focused on those 4 things that we talked about. So I would highly encourage you to check that out. Let's see if I could drop this down a little bit. This is what it looks like. This is the page. All right. We accept anybody. Obviously, I look at them and go, oh, they're a real estate agent. Cool, they're in. All right. But this was the post from yesterday. This was the link to Pat's training that he was on yesterday talking about. This was our espresso event. This is me promoting the podcast. Honestly, a lot of the posts are just me, but it's not about that. Here's our training from last week, and it goes on and on. And it's me, Mark, and Alan that kind of moderate that group. So anybody's welcome. The Productive Agent Podcast, we started doing this back in September, doing Monday motivation messages, no more than 10 minutes. The last one was like 4 minutes, but it's just, again, something to put in your brain to start off your Mondays, to start off your week. Take it in and process it, share it, go, oh, this was a cool message. I liked it. I'm going to share it with my friend. All right. We do full episodes every Wednesday. Episodes are interviews, stories, educational pieces, how-to pieces. I did one on how to pick an open house that's going to be successful, and how to host it, how to follow up, etc. So we do different things like that. You could find it on Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. This was obviously the most recent one. And then next Monday, we'll have a new episode up. So go subscribe, so that you don't miss any of those. And then, of course, because we're doing that, we have the Productive Agent YouTube channel. But on there, you'll see 3 posts a week, 2 of the podcast episodes videoed, plus the Thursday training. So that looks like this. All right. Here's our videos. Here's episode 19. Here's episode 18, disc profile training. Here's 17, 16. Here's another training, why open houses and how to host them. All right. Here's Mark Chambers talking about mindsets. Val Sisson talking about organization. Brian Edwards talking about his success and what he's doing. So lots and lots of great information, just building that library up to help. All right. But bottom line, I want to continue to grow. My goal is to hit icon, and take full advantage of what EXP offers. So that's my goal. But I also don't want to kill myself, because I killed myself in my past business, my past work. So I was like, I want to build it, and I will get there, but I'm not going to kill myself and not be able to repeat it. And honestly, something that I love, just like you, Pat, is like, I just love helping people, man. Like, I sat down the other day and spent an hour with a newer agent on Skyslope, and it made me feel good. It filled up my cup, and it's just those types of things.
You can definitely tell, man, you're a helper, you're a giver. I love it.
So yeah, man, anybody, there's my contact information. Feel free to email me, text me, call me, whatever. I can share whatever you saw here that you want. And join the group. I would really I'd really appreciate it if y'all join the group, got the most out of it. The more you tap in, the more you're going to get out. And then share the group. I love it for it to grow naturally, organically, just word of mouth. I don't plan on promoting it really any other way. But that's the idea. So that's my story.
Man, wow. Give it up for Tony, man. That was freaking awesome. I love to hear those stories. And I mean, it's just you're so infectious, man. And I love your enthusiasm and your passion and your patience, man. It's hard to have patience, and you can tell you do, because you have that servant mindset, and you love just to help and serve people, and it shows, man. It shows. I mean, it's truly unbelievable, man. I love your story, man, and you deserve it, man. You deserve it.
Thanks,
doing what you've done, before your previous, before your real estate career, 11 years in corporate America, working your tail off. I mean, I know how it is. My mom's a school teacher for 22 years. I mean, working your tail off, those, late nights at football games, late nights at, the school, and early mornings. I mean, it's crazy, and you go to college and you go spend all this money and all this time and energy to get that career, to go get that job. And then they work you into the ground. And then it's like, you don't even have fun anymore. You can't even see your family. And now you've been able to turn that around and have financial freedom and time freedom. And now you're actually probably able to help more people be successful in your real estate career than you did at your previous career, man. So that's awesome. I love it, dude. I love it. And man, we have spent a lot of time together this week, man. This is our third Zoom presentation together.
It's been great.
It's been a fun week, man. It really has, man. I've learned a lot about you, and I'm so glad that you're able to give back today to all the other agents on here, because there are a lot of new agents on here that are probably going through your similar story, if not starting to go through your similar story. And this is motivation, man. This is great. All right, guys, we got about 8 or 9 minutes or so. Let's open it up for some Q&A. Man, Tony, that was an amazing presentation. That was fire. I love it. This is being recorded, and I can't wait to blast it out. And I'll definitely send it to you so you can post it in your group as well. But yeah, everybody go join the Productive Agents Facebook group as well. You definitely need to do that. And then get on Tony's calendar so you can actually be on his podcast as well, because that was a lot of fun sharing stories. But who's got a question for Tony?
I'd have a question for Tony real quick.
Yeah,
Tony,
go ahead.
You're hanging around the right guys with Mark Chambers and Brian Edwards. They are definitely top leaders here. And so anyone that doesn't know him, trust me, he's hanging around the right guys. My question is, with 4 hours of sleep, what kind of coffee you're drinking? I just had to ask because you have plenty of energy.
You know what's funny is again, being a teacher background, I know how to turn it on because honestly, last night was super late. So I've been doing the 75 hard challenge and I had my daughter last night. So I wanted to make sure to stay with her and put her to bed. But then I went on my walk 45 minutes afterwards. Then I had to do my reading because I hadn't done it yet. I didn't go to bed till midnight. I woke up at 4 a.m. because I had to go to the 5 a.m. class to make sure to take her to school this morning. And so I'm tired, but hey, it's time to turn it on and just drink some coffee baby. And get going.
That's dedication and commitment right there, man. I love it.
Tony, I have a question. Yes. How are you obtaining leads to host open houses? I've done two.
That's a good question. So I'm going to be honest because that's who I am. I don't necessarily just go after EXP listings. I pick an area, and this is what Alan kind of told me to do early on, was pick an area that you're familiar with, find a busy street. I definitely recommend going and listen to the podcast or the YouTube. And I would go off of Blanco Road because that was where Churchill High School was. And I knew that area well. And I'd go, okay, right off of there, you just have to take 1 or 2 turns to get to this house. So I'll look at the houses, look at the map and go, it's buried in the back of the neighborhood. There's no way that they're going to get to that open house. Right. All right. So I want an easy access. And I just call the agent. Hey, Bob, this is Tony Ruiz with EXP. And I saw your listing at 123. I'd love to host an open house Saturday, 1 to 4. You and your clients cool with that? And sometimes they're like, no, we got it covered. Okay, let me call the next one. So I make like a list of like 5. And by the time I get through 5 of them, I got one. I was like, great, put it on the MLS. I'll take care of the promoting. I'll take care of the signs and I'll let you know how it goes. So majority, 98% of mine are not EXP. They're just a random good looking house that's easy to get to on a busy street.
Love it.
Fantastic. Because like I said, I had 2, but none of them materialized. So
yeah, the leads, I mean, out of that 171 leads that I met in that first year, I didn't do a whole lot of transactions. I was in the right place at the right time to do a few of them. And my follow-up game sucked my first year, but they're in my database, so now the past year, those people are getting a weekly email from me, and then so they might pop up, they might not. I probably should follow up with them and just see if there's any interest, but just keep adding people to your database, right? Take those 2 people, they might not buy right now, but I had probably my last listing, a couple listings ago, probably a September, she was an open house lead. I helped her buy that house. She lived in it for a couple years. She said, I'm moving to New York. Can you help me sell it? Cool. Help me sell it. In the process, she gave me a referral from her friend in Austin, helped her buy another house. And that was an old lead. So some of my closings from last year in 2022, I met in 2020 from open houses. so just put them in there.
Love it.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Love it. Love it. Love it. And also I wanted to give a shout out real quick. I see Melanie there. Melanie, if you want to unmute yourself real quick, I know you've kind of got a similar story of Tony's, and I just wanted to say, hey, thanks so much for joining the call. Good to see you. How are you doing?
Oh my gosh, sorry. I'm driving. Tony, you're awesome.
Thanks.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, be careful driving.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give a shout out.
I know. No, you're good. I'm gonna actually just pull over real quick. Pat, you're awesome. These are my inspiring stories. I love these because there's so many stories. I'm right there with Tony. I was a teacher for 21 years, and I'm laughing earlier because, man, Pat, how many times did you push me like, go full time, leave, go full time?
Yep.
And it's life changing. And Tony, I love the insight. I love hearing. He's amazing. If y'all don't know him, he gives back so much here, and I appreciate him so much. But
thank you.
Yeah, my whole thing for me, that's why I love hearing other ways to lead generate. My whole thing is completely turned into my sphere. So that's what's really pushed my business the last 3 years. But I 100%, all my stuff comes from my sphere and doing things. Y'all know I'm a video girl. So
I see
just little simple things I do. But I do. I love it. And the biggest part about this, EXP and all these things, I love, Pat, when y'all put these on, because there's so many nuggets that we get from different people. And I mean, my biggest advice I would tell anybody on here is, I spent my first couple of years trying to figure out what worked for everybody else, thinking that was going to work for me, until I really just nailed down. And that's when I really took off my third year, was finding out what I enjoyed. And because like you said, Pat, I've had that conversation with you, your mom being a teacher, is you know that, we worked our tail off. I didn't get home till 11 o'clock most nights. And it's just a different world when you can enjoy 100% what you're doing every day. And the hours are different, and still be able to give back so much. But
love it. Well, hey, congratulations to you. Good to see you on the call. And
yes,
I know you're out there crushing it. I see you on social media. So man, kudos to you.
Thank you. Tony, great interview. That was awesome, man.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right,
thank you, Melanie. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we got a few minutes here. And I definitely respect everybody's time though, but who's got another quick question for Tony?
Hey, there's a lot of talk in the chat about the EXP policies on doing open houses for non-EXP listings. Can you guys cover any of that? Speak to that?
I don't really know the exact rules. I'm sure obviously you can get away with it, but I'm sure there is a rule that EXP wants us to only do open houses with, EXP listings, probably due to some type of rule. Yeah, Jeff, you got your hand raised. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, they say it has to do with our, I'm not a proponent of it. I always, say do as many open houses as you can. What worries me though is, at my point of rev share, which isn't a lot compared to yours, I'd hate for them to say I violated the PMP policy and later.
Right.
So I'm really not sure what to do with it. I would quite frankly like to fight it as 88,000 agents and get it changed.
Right. Yep. No, I agree.
Yeah. I don't know the rules. I'm just looking for business and
that's right.
Going after
exactly.
it. Yeah.
That's
I'm with
right.
you, brother.
Yeah. Just don't don't get crazy. Obviously if you're doing an open house with another house at another brokerage firm, obviously don't do anything crazy stupid that will be a red flag or anything like that. Just kind of go under the radar and have fun and do your job and hold the house open and be cordial and polite and try and get some business, right? And just be nice to everybody, right? And so I think you'll be okay. I'm not saying to go do it, but obviously yes, try and look for an EXP open house first. But if there is not one, then hey, go make friends with another agent and build that relationship and recruit them over to EXP, right? You can definitely do that.
Amen.
Yeah, and I wanted to give a shout out real quick. I see Brian Edwards there. Good morning, Brian. Thanks for coming onto the call on this amazing Freedom Friday with Tony to hear his story. I know you've got a kind of a similar background as well too, but man, thanks so much for your leadership up there and what you're doing up there in Dallas.
Man, you bet. It's always fun.
Yes, love it. All right, guys. Well, we got another minute or so. Who's got one last question for Tony, and we'll wrap it up, and then we'll get over to leadership meeting.
I have a quick question.
Yes, go ahead.
Yep.
So thank you so much, Tony and Pat. I'm a new agent here, so that was really, really valuable.
Yep.
And I'm just curious, I'm not great with Excel. I mean, I took some notes. I should have taken a screenshot. Would you be willing to share that that tracker, or at least bring it back up and we can take a screenshot?
Yeah,
Yeah, I can bring it back up real quick. And I see some of the messages in the chat. The best way is just send me a text message or email so that I can follow up with you. I'm not super savvy with this Zoom and being able to track down everybody that wants it.
Yeah.
So so do that, and I will like personally send it to you. But this is what it looks like here. So this is my greatness tracker.
I think you
and
can
it's
share.
just
We don't
what's that?
see it. I don't think we see it.
Oh, yeah, my bad. 1 second.
Screen there.
Here we go. So
Thank you.
yeah, some columns, some rows. It's been adjusted to fit one page. It was kind of honestly a little bit of a pain in the ass to set it up, but it works to where I can print it in one page. And then I literally, what I do with this is I print it out weekly and I start writing down names. So like if Pat Hayes was my client and I called him or texted him and said, hey, Pat, you know, I just sent you some properties, blah, blah, that's a reach. For me, I count that as a reach, you know, and I'd write Pat Hayes down in one of the boxes, you know, and then if Pat responds or sees it or whatever, then I put a little check mark. So then by like, if I did that on Monday and I get to like Wednesday or Thursday and be like, oh, Pat never responded to mine, let me check back with him, you know, so I can have a visual representation of what the, you know, what my contacts look like. And I can go, man, I've had a bad week. I need to get on it. I need to start putting some names on this, you know? And then the social media, the same thing. The social media for me, it's not just likes and loves. It's, I put an actual heartfelt comment. And it's genuine. It's not like every single thing I do, I just comment on everybody's. A lot of the stuff I just scroll right past and be like, oh, that's my ex-student. Cool. That's awesome. Congratulations. You're getting married, you know, whatever it is, you know, and that to me is a reach. Even if they just like it, I put a little check mark and going, hey, I was able to touch them in some way. They saw my name pop up, and just keep going and start doing that more.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, guys. And also I think you can go Google it too. It's the Greatness Tracker, I believe by the Core, C-O-R-E coaching, Core Coaching Greatness Tracker. I actually learned this a long time ago, probably my first, maybe second year in real estate, you know, 7 or 8 years ago from Nikki Salter. She actually showed me the Greatness Tracker, and I was blown away. I was blown away with, you know, how important this is to, you know, a lot of agents, a lot of LOs, you know, do this as well too, Greatness Trackers. You know, how many, you know, appointments they go on, how many lunches they go on, breaking bread, how many phone calls, I mean, everything, you know, and it's really cool to track, guys. If you haven't done this, you know, I've done it before for about 6 months or so. And it really kind of showed me where I'm spending the most time on my business and where I needed to spend more time on my business, right? And so it really kind of, you know, if you're kind of getting off path a little bit, it kind of brings you back to, you know, to focus and you know, really figure out exactly where you need to spend a little bit more time or where you need to adjust a little bit more time or whatnot. But it'll definitely take you to the next level for sure. I did that for 6 months with Nikki Salter, my second year in the business, and it really catapulted my business to the next level. So, all right, guys, well, the time is up. Tony, man, that was freaking awesome. This call is being recorded. I just wanted to say, man, thanks so much for, you know, for your leadership. Thanks so much for what you're doing. You know, thanks for being you. And this was a lot of fun, man. And Alan, I just wanted to give a shout out to you real quick, Alan. Thanks for, you know, trusting me several years ago, about 4 years ago. I know it took me a whole year to convince Alan that EXP was the best brokerage firm. And he was at Keller Williams. Nothing bad about Keller Williams, but it took me a whole year to convince Alan. And if it wasn't for Alan, a lot of you guys wouldn't be here, man. And, you know, Alan, thanks so much for what you guys are doing there and, you know, kind of keeping everybody together and all that good stuff. And, you know, Tony, you're an amazing, true success story about how to lead corporate America. And I know there's a lot of other successful agents on here as well, too, that have done that. And it's a hard thing to do. It really is, man. It's a scary thing to do. And you guys have all done it, and you're all successful. And I just wish you guys the best of luck. And man, just wanted to say thanks so much to everybody. I see my man Ian Flanagan on there. I'm not sure if you're there or whatnot, but Ian, what's up? Thanks for joining us. I just wanted to say, guys, go out there, crush it, have fun today. Go earn some business, go talk to some agents, and go sell some real estate and have fun. And God bless, guys. Love you all. We'll see you back here next Friday. Take care. Have a good weekend.